Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a Christmas card to share with you that came out a little different than I had in my mind, but however I wanted to show it to you because it might help you as well. So first of all, I had this A2 size panel. I cut it out using the basic rectangles from my elephant just to help me, and then I got this rectangle extraordinaire stencil from My Favorite Things. I'm not going to use it as a stencil, I'm going to use it as a guide for my Copic coloring. Now, as you know me, normally I go for an ink blended background, and Copic markers okay for images, but not for my backgrounds, however. I tried it in the past, I liked how it ended up, so I decided today to try something new. And so it didn't work. Let me just start with that. I saw some inspiration on Pinterest, I think, with a landscape where you had the foreground and it was dark. It was sort of a night sky sort of thing, or just the morning where it's still really dark, so grounding was dark. And then in the back you had different layers, different color layers that represented all of those mountains that were in the back. So I tried to do that today, and well, personally, I find that I don't see any mountains. However, I was basing myself on something that exists with Copics, but I'm still, for backgrounds especially, getting used to Copic markers, and I'm not feeling comfortable about that or anything like that, but I wanted to try. And so I went for it, and I didn't like these two first parts, but I thought, okay, you just keep going, and if this doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you just keep pushing, keep going. So I was first trying to get that layout that I saw on the picture. So I went for that, and it was a build up from dark, almost black, to blue, and then purple and pinkish in the sky. So that's what I basically have here. And I also wanted my rectangle to sort of represent a rectangle, but not be a complete rectangle. So that's why I also went for a bit of wonky lines while I was tracing the stencil, you know. So here I am having those basic layers, and then I thought, well, maybe I can fix it. Maybe just by adding a bit of shadowing, a bit of dimension on my sky area, it might help. So I went for my favorite pink combination, R85, 83 and 81, which sort of helped, but the mountains, however, looked really flat. I must admit, when I checked that inspiration again, then it is flat, you know. It is just a fade in the back, but yeah, as I said, it didn't work out. So I just kept going, however, until I liked the blend in the sky, and then I thought, well, maybe I just need to add some dimension to those mountain areas that don't appear mountains, but you know, that was the intention. So I looked for some markers that were slightly darker than the color that I used to start with, and I wanted to get that gradient or a bit of dimension going on there. So for the mountains, I decided to add the shadowing on the bottom, because the other mountain is sort of covering it and sort of giving a bit of a darker well, area towards the mountain behind it. I don't know, I was just trying to fix it, you know. So kept going back and forth. BV family is not my favorite because I really find it hard to blend, so there was a bit of work here to get at least to somewhere that I liked it. But I don't know if you sort of start seeing mountains. I would love to know what you think. But even with the end result, I still don't find that I got what I wanted to create, you know. But why I'm sharing today is that well, the card, when I make cards, mostly in the weekends, and I can make 1, 2, 3 maybe, or whatever. I put them on my light box. I'm living in Belgium. I have the worst weather ever. There is never any sunshine, and if there is sunshine, it's too much, it's too yellow, you know. So I have a light box to take my pictures in, and so whenever I have cards ready, I put them on there. I must admit, I don't like taking pictures of my cards. I prefer creating, but it's a necessity. It's it's something that we have to do before we can share it and can inspire each other. So therefore, I just go ahead with that. But I put all my cards on that light box until I have like a bunch of cards and I just have to go through it once. So I tend to save them up until I have too many cards to just put there, or until I have a deadline that I really need to keep and have to take pictures of that one card, and then I go for all of them. So this card was also laying over there. And at first I wasn't happy with it because, as I said, my intention wasn't represented on the paper. But the more I walked into the room, because the light box is right in the door, so you cannot not look at it when you enter the room. So every time I entered and saw the card, I was getting to like it more and more. Not for the reason that I had intended and didn't work, but just because it sort of turned out to be a really abstract kind of background sort of thing. And yeah, I also wanted to use another stamp originally, but because this didn't work out, I ended up with the Frosty Friends from Hello Bluebird, a really simple but cute stamp set. I decided to feature one critter, being this adorable deer, and then the Falala stamp set for the sentiment. I love these speech bubbles. I love the fact that there are matching dies for it. It's a really easy and fun way to add a sentiment without having the standard sentiments. So I prepped this panel and I was going to add some snow to the background, still attempting to get that mountain vibe. So I took my Versamark clear embossing ink and that one snowflake that is inside of this stamp set, and I added it on several places. I used white embossing powder and heated it, and then I used a white jelly roll pen to add some more snowflakes, but just hand-drawn dots, if you want to call it like that. So that's how I hoped to get like the vibe for you guys as well, that this was a landscape sort of thing, really abstract. And I am sure that there is a way to get what I wanted with Copics, but so far I haven't figured it out, and I'm trying to figure it out myself, not looking or doing any classes, because classes, while they take quite a lot of time, and that's logical, but I just don't know whenever I am going to have time to watch a class, you know? So therefore, I try to figure it out myself. If I can do it, wonderful. If I cannot do it, then I need to learn from that experience and grow from there. But as you can see, these are my snowflakes. Now, I'm going to add, as I said, the white jelly roll pen, and I started with it, and then halfway I decided to quit with it, just because I still had my image to color in, and that was going to cover quite a bit of the area, so then it was a bit useless to have added all of these snowflakes and then just cover all of them up. So for the coloring of this reindeer, really simple. I'm using one of those brown markers that I use all the time. It's E18, 15, 33, and then for lighter colors, the E53, E51, you know it. But whenever you want to check out which colors I used for the reindeer, for the background, even if you like it, then that's all on my blog post. But as I said, I still find it a bit sad that I didn't got the result that I wanted to have. At the same time, the more and more I look at the card, the more I like it in its own way. So maybe you have the same when you try something and it's not going as you want to. I hope that I can encourage you with this video to keep going and even when the result is different, as in your head you intended to create, it might be beautiful, and as long as you're happy with it, then everyone should be happy with it. And maybe you like even this kind of background and you want to recreate it in any way, then definitely do. I would love to see that as well. You know, we can only learn if we try things, and we can only get better at things when we try to get better. And to get better, you need to know first where you're at. So here for the head, I decided to not be bothered about those dots. As I used a white jelly roll pen for the snow, I could also use it to get those dots white again, so that's what I did. So here I'm just working my way through those markers from darkest to lightest, adding a second layer, adding even more if I need to. But at least 2 layers is most of the time what I need, except with really small areas. So here the really soft brown that I'm always grabbing towards, my E50s, they are great for that. And then that bell I will do in some sort of a yellowish tone. As I said, really simple. And once everything is colored in, I'm going to take those matching dyes and cut everything out. So once everything was cut out, I was going to adhere them using some thin foam squares. And so this one is actually sitting on the grounding with the not existing mountains behind it. And then the snow is falling. I really like this image that I added because it's really cute, but I also think that it's really easy to just take another image that you might like and just add it instead of the one that I used. Also, I am busy with a video for you guys where I sort of was basing myself on this card, but found a way to make it even more simple than that, because of course the Copic coloring, I wasn't going to repeat myself with that, but just to show you how simple it can be with some card ideas, to recreate it in different ways, or just to an easy way to create more than one card. Like if you're lacking time, which is always the case for me, for Christmas cards I tend to never have enough of them, and so close to Christmas I am freaking out. I am, well, very often I don't have any inspiration because of the stress of not having enough cards, and so I completely block everything, and also the creativity is blocked at that moment. So just in those cases, there are ways to still create cards, to still go to that happy place and create multiples at once. So I hope that that video might help you, but it's coming up. I don't know exactly when, but well, I'm busy with it, you know, so it will come. Here on the bottom I added a bit more of those snowflakey kind of things, hoping to sort of have the illusion that we are looking into scenery, and on the edges of where we are looking there is already quite a lot of snow building up, but it's only in the details, you know. For some people it will be useful and it will be, oh, she added it in the corners as well, that's kind of nice, and others probably won't even notice. So depending on who you're going to give it to, it will be appreciated a lot. So yeah, I added that, and then I could add this panel to a card base. Now I had a tiny sliver of the card base that was too big for the panel, so I wanted to trim it off, and I did that, and I also trimmed a bit of my panel off, which is not a big deal if you don't have stitching details, in my opinion, because no one will know. But in this case, I could see that that the stitching details was just, it was closer to the edge on the top because I snipped off a part of the panel. And I was really bothered about it, and I know it's a tiny thing, but well, if it bothers you, try to fix it. So I took the A2 rectangle frames from my favorite things, I cut out the biggest one, and that's how I covered up the little tiny error that I had. And so that's why I ended up with a frame, because it's not really needed for this kind of card, but it was needed because I trimmed off a piece of my edge of my panel. So this is my end result of a really strange card idea that didn't end up as I intended, but however, I like it, and I hope you do too. Let me know down in the comments, do you see mountains? Don't you see the mountains? Are you like me and you're like, Or are you like, well, I prefer this over mountains? Or it's kind of abstract, but I like it, you know? Let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have an incredible day, and I'll be back soon. Bye!